Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into a stack of sources about a truly iconic figure, Neil Armstrong.
Right. And our goal isn't just to recount the famous moonwalk on July 20th, 1969, though obviously that's central.
Exactly. We want to understand the discipline, the technical skill, and maybe the personal philosophy behind that giant leap.
And perhaps the best starting point is his own words, that famous line, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind."
It sets the tone perfectly. If we get the man behind the words, maybe we understand why it was about precision, not, ego.
Precisely. So let's trace that back. Where did it all begin? Our sources point to Ohio, 1930.
And a childhood marked by, well, a lot of moving around. 16 times in 14 years, apparently, but the constant was flight.
Yeah, that passion started super early. His first flight in a Ford Trimotor, he was only 5 or 6.
And it wasn't just a passing interest. The sources really emphasize his dedication from a young age.
They do. He was an Eagle Scout, which, takes serious commitment. And then getting his student pilot's license on his 16th birthday.
Before he could even drive a car.
Right. And this wasn't just a hobby. He went to Purdue under the Holloway Plan.
Ah, the Navy scholarship program. So that locked him into service.
Exactly. It led straight to him becoming a Navy aviator and flying 78 combat missions during the Korean War. Service and skill right from the start.
Okay, so that foundation of flight, discipline, and military service takes us to the next big step, his test pilot career.
Yeah, after the Navy, he joined NASA, the precursor to NASA, as an experimental research test pilot. This is where he really honed his edge.
Flying over 200 different types of aircraft, that's incredible.
Including the X-15, the rocket plane. He flew that 7 times. For listeners, you have to understand, this kind of test piloting was extremely dangerous, pushing boundaries constantly.
And that experience, that ability to handle the absolute cutting edge, must be why NASA picked him in '62.
Absolutely. And significantly, he was NASA's first civilian astronaut to fly in space. That tells you something about the respect for his piloting skills.
Skills that were dramatically tested on Gemini 8 in 1966.
Oh, definitely. They achieved the first ever docking in space, a huge milestone. But then a thruster got stuck.
Right, sending them into a dangerous spin out of control.
And Armstrong, he had to react instantly. He used the re-entry control system, thrusters fuel, meant for coming home, to stop the roll.
Wow, breaking procedure but saving the mission and their lives? Sheer nerve and knowing the machine inside out.
Exactly. It averted disaster. And that kind of life-or-death training, well, it continued. Think about the LORV.
The Lunar Landing Research Vehicle. The flying bedstead, right. He always said they couldn't have landed on the moon without it.
He did. And he nearly died flying one. He had to eject just seconds before it crashed in 1968. Imagine carrying that experience into the actual landing.
Which brings us to Apollo 11, the final descent. Not smooth sailing at all.
Far from it. They got those computer alarms, the infamous 1202s and 1201s. Basically, the computer was overloaded, screaming for attention.
While they're trying to land on the moon.
Right. So Armstrong had to take over manual control, navigate away from a boulder field he saw they were heading towards.
All while the fuel is just draining away.
Critically low.
Yeah.
They landed with maybe 45, 50 seconds of fuel left. It was the ultimate test of everything he'd ever learned. Training, instinct, quick decisions under unbelievable pressure.
So when we look at what we can learn today, it feels like that experience shaped his reaction to fame. He became the reluctant American hero.
It makes sense, doesn't it? He faced catastrophic failures so many times. The LORV crash, Gemini 8, almost running out of fuel, landing on the moon. He knew the risks were immense. Some sources say he rated their chances at only 50-50.
So the modesty wasn't an act.
It seems unlikely. It feels like a genuine response to the gravity of it all. He famously avoided the spotlight, turned down commercial deals. He even sued Hallmark, remember, for using his voice without permission.
He just didn't want to capitalize on that moment of service.
Exactly. And that service didn't stop when he left NASA in '71. He went on to teach aerospace engineering at the University of Cincinnati.
Sharing that knowledge. And importantly, he served on the investigations for both Apollo 13
and the Challenger disaster, offering his expertise quietly, reliably behind the scenes.
So that blend of incredible technical skill and profound humility, that seems to be the core lesson.
I think so. And his family's words after he passed away capture it perfectly. They asked people to honor his example of service, accomplishment, and modesty.
And the next time you walk outside on a clear night and see the moon smiling down at you, think of Neil Armstrong and give him a wink. It's a lovely sentiment.
It really is. Yeah. A testament to a man defined by quiet dedication and immense capability.
An amazing deep dive. So To leave you with something to think about.
Armstrong himself apparently predicted that going to Mars would, in some ways, be easier than the moon challenge was back in the 60s, given the unknowns they faced then.
Right. So the question for you is, what's the crucial small step we need to master today? What's the modern equivalent of the LLRV training or the Gemini 8 fix that's essential for making that next giant leap to Mars a success?
Something to ponder next time you look up at the sky.